Coach Morgan here. So today I'm going to go over how to calculate your maintenance calories, how to calculate calories for a deficit, and then how to get your macros from there. So first off, we're going to calculate those maintenance calories. Step one, you've got to weigh yourself and get your body fat. So you can weigh yourself on just any scale, get that number. As far as body fat goes, some scales read body fat. You can use calipers, you can use a handheld device, you can use tape and enter it into a calculator from there, or you can even look at body fat, make sure it's body fat woman images on the internet and just kind of roughly estimate your body fat from there. So once you have those two numbers, you're going to go to TDEE.com. So this stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure, and this is where it's going to estimate roughly what your maintenance calories are. So if you were to eat X amount of calories, you would roughly stay the same weight. And it's going to calculate these calories based on your weight, your body fat, your age, and your activity level. So for activity level, make sure you're honest with that part. I know with quarantine, a lot of us have been a little bit more sedentary, maybe not getting in as many steps as we used to, but still getting in our workouts. So maybe we're more of a light exercise level as opposed to moderate level when we're getting in both our exercise and our steps. Just make sure you're honest with that part so that the number is a bit more accurate. Step three, we are going to get our deficit now. So usually I like to start my clients off with a 20% calorie deficit to just kind of get their toes in the water of deficits. And you typically, if you have not been in a deficit before, you will definitely see weight loss at this number. So for your 20% deficit, you're just gonna take your maintenance calories, say our maintenance calories were roughly 2,000, multiply that by 0.8, and that's gonna leave us with 1,600 calories for our deficit. If you are on that 20% deficit, I would stick with it for as long as you're losing weight. So say I stop losing weight after the third or fourth week of being on that 20% deficit, that's when I'm gonna increase a little bit more to that 25% deficit. So then I'm gonna multiply by 0.75 and get 1,500 calories. Notice it's not a huge jump, but it should be enough to get your body to lose a bit more weight. Usually I'll go up to a 30, sometimes 35 or 40% deficit for extreme weight loss cases, but I typically like to stay in the 20 and 25% deficit range. So like I said, ride out that deficit as long as you can. If you're on you wanna stay on as high of calories as you can while losing weight for as long as you can. So don't change your calories until you start to plateau. From there, we're going to calculate our macros. So I'll go over our macros next. Okay, so to calculate our macros, we're gonna use our 120-pound person that's on a 20% deficit of 1,500 calories. So I like to convert my pounds to kilograms because it makes the equations a little bit more simple. So 120 pounds into kilograms is roughly 54 kilograms. First off, we're gonna calculate our protein. So I usually start people off with about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So taking our equation, we're gonna do 54 times 2, and we're gonna get about 108 grams. Next up, we're gonna calculate our fats. This is a simple one. You just do about 1 gram of fat per kilogram to start out with. So that's gonna leave us with 54 grams of fat. And then our carbs are gonna be the remaining calories. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. We now have to convert our grams into calories. In order to calculate that, we're first going to get the calories of our protein and our fats. So 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. So we're gonna take our 108 grams, multiply by 4, and get 432 calories. Next up, we're gonna get our fats. 1 gram of fats is 9 calories. So we're gonna multiply our 54 grams of fats times 9 to get 486 calories. Next, we're gonna add these two numbers so we can get how many calories we have for our remaining that we have left after we subtract that from 1,500. So we got 486 plus 432 equals 918. So this is how many calories of our protein and fats. So we're gonna take this number and we're gonna subtract it from our 1,500 calories. That's how many calories we have during our deficit. and we're gonna get 582 calories. That's how many we have left. So that's how many calories you can have in carbs. Now to get the grams, all we're gonna do is we're lastly going to, let me erase some of this. We're gonna take 582 and divide it by 4 because 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories. And we're gonna be left with our grams of carbs, which is about 145 grams. So there we go. And we now have our macros. So we're gonna go for 108 grams of protein, 54 grams of fat, and 145 grams of carbs. And if you hit these macros spot on, you're going to get your 1,500 calories spot on. Now when it comes to macros, same thing with your calories, only really have to adjust when you're hitting plateaus. And then when it comes to readjusting, remember you're most likely going to be at a different weight. So say for example, I started at 120 pounds and I started with my 20% deficit. I stayed on that for maybe 2-3 weeks and I lost 5 pounds. So now I'm at 115 pounds. I'm going to take that new number and also my new body fat, and I'm going to use that in my total daily energy expenditure. So don't just take your starting numbers and calculate from there. Take your new numbers, so your new weight, your new body fat, and calculate from there, and then go through this whole process of calculating your macros again. I know it gets a little bit into the nitty-gritty, but if you calculate your macros and you stick with them, I promise you, you're going to see results.